Hello and welcome to Tokyo Inklings. My name is CY and you can find me on my website at tokyostationpens.com, on Instagram and TikTok at tokyostationpens, and on Twitter at tokyostationmnh.
And my name is Jacob. I am Foodafan on Instagram and on Twitter, and I have a blog at foodafan.com.
Hello, my name is Khuê and I'm at Mirai Cat. You can find me on Instagram.
And this is episode 55 of Tokyo Inklings. How are you guys doing?
Adult supervising is back.
we were having so much fun too.
I listened to the last episode. It was a good one. I have some thoughts on it. We'll get to that in a bit. But yeah, all is good here. It's the beginning of the financial year for many people. So a lot of people have been busy up until end of last month, and things are a little bit lighter now, fortunately.
And I think the end of the financial year, it brings like a lot of sales, as in like discounted activities. Like I think Kingdom Note has their like end of year sales and stuff like that. But it also means that there are less, I think, product releases. I think people are focused on just getting all the books in order. So it's been actually not super noisy in the fountain pen world here, right?
Yeah, not so much in terms of new releases, but yeah, I agree that Kingdom Note had a massive sale up until the end of March, and I think it's gone now. Yep.
Khuê, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. Start of the daycare year. So it was adjusting time for my baby and a little bit of running in both directions, because the same week my son's class got a COVID case, so he has to stay at home the whole week. It was a bit of a chaotic week, but everything is fine. And we even have a small hanami in Shinjuku, Gyoen, with some friends who just arrived from Switzerland as a new expat family for 4 years. So it was a very nice last weekend, and then the week who follow was a bit, but now it's better.
That's great. So Jacob, having, obviously been really busy and sat out the last session, what is it like to listen back to the episode as a listener this time?
Yeah, it feels good to listen and not have to edit. So that was good. Yeah, I enjoyed the episode. It was a good topics. I had some thoughts that I wrote down here. The first one was about, I remember you were talking about the Mont Blanc 149 and whether it hold this value well. I agree in general that limited edition pens hold their value much better than like standard production models. You just need to go to like Mercari and compare. If you compare like Platinum 3776, like the standard black and gold one are like 4,000 yen. It's hard to even sell them, even with interesting nibs. Meanwhile, the Fuji other limited editions, they're like 30,000 yen. So there's a huge difference there. So same thing with Pilot. Like it's almost hard to sell a standard Pilot Custom 74 second hand. Like no one wants to buy it. Meanwhile, you can sell the Custom Kai edition for a very good price. So I agree on that point. But for a standard production model, I still think, in Alesa's defense, I still think the Mont Blanc 149 holds its value relatively well, because if you talk about the Mont Blanc pens you find for like 30,000 yen or 40,000 yen, they tend to be these like 30, 40-year-old pens. They have scratches everywhere. They might have some rust on the trims. The piston is in unknown condition, and you might even have lost some like fins on the feed. So you're buying something of unknown quality. You're taking a risk. On the other hand, if you want to buy something that is a more recent model, that is a known good quality, you're going to have to pay at least twice as much. So I don't think it's true that the modern Mont Blanc 149 is really cheap.
So how would you value a secondhand Mont Blanc 149? Because I know for Mont Blanc collectors, I guess modern ones have even less value than, let's say, something from the 80s or from the 70s. Yes, it might come with the scratches. So I'm curious, how much do you see for secondhand prices?
So I think, I'm not sure if this is true in other markets, but in Japan, if you try to sell something on Mercari, you have to declare what the condition is, right? And when people say this is almost new, like Mishio Nichikai, then it almost always is, because if you say that and it's not, you're going to get a bad review and bad things will happen. People are very picky about like this even smaller imperfections in Japan. So in general, if you find something that is stated to be in that condition, it's going to be in that condition, and that's when you see these prices of like 70,000 yen. So that's what I meant.
Okay. Then I guess, before we move on to the next topic, I'm curious about your rankings, right? Like your entry, mid, and high level pens that you would buy.
Yeah, I think you guys all agreed on the Kakuno, and I also think the Kakuno is a great one. One I would add though is, I really like Pen BBS. We talked about that before, and Pen BBS has some entry level models that are in like a $15 range. So there's one called Pen BBS 491, which is relatively simple cartridge converter, and it's beautiful made. The quality is amazing for the price. The nib is, I really like the Pen BBS nib, so I would add that as a recommendation. For like mid level, I think Alessa said Custom 74. I tend to prefer Pilot 742 and 912, and obviously those are a little bit more expensive, but so my cop-out answer would be a second-hand 742 and 912, and that ties into the next ranking, the high-end one. I would take my 742 and I will send it to Hiroko, and that's going to be my high-end model.
Okay, that is indeed a cop-out. That is indeed a cop-out, but we'll take it. And
sorry,
what about your filling system rankings?
Yeah, I think I pretty much agree with everyone except you. So
poor taste.
Well, cartridge converter, it allows you to change ink quickly, and also I think I talked about that before, but I tend to like pigmented inks, and pigmented inks tend to stain more easily than dye-based inks. And I've had several pens that have been, I guess, stained because of that. And I've been using like Pen Flush. I've been using ultrasonic cleaners, and I can't remove that stain. So I'm hesitant to use the pigmented inks, which are the inks I like to use in piston fillers or vac fillers and so on. And for that reason, I prefer cartridge converters. My second choice would still be piston. I'm okay with vac fillers, but pretty much nothing else.
That's interesting, because you have a forever pen.
A what?
And you have a forever pen, right? A pen that you will never sell, and that's not a cartridge converter, right?
Right, but that's different.
Yeah.
It's not a pen that I'm actually using. It's a pen. Yeah,
okay.
So.
But would you use pigment ink in that pen? Okay, so that's only dye-based ink for your forever pen. Okay, and we'll keep the forever pen a secret, but.
Yeah. And I just have one more comment about another topic. You guys were talking about inks. I think you talked about these Korean ink brands, and you talked about like Waringal and Dominant Industries, and I think you call them ink manufacturers. But I recall hearing, I don't know if this is true, but I recall hearing that some of these Korean ink brands, they're all made by a small number of manufacturers. So my question is it really apt to compare, say, Waringal to Sailor or Platinum, or should we really be comparing Waringal to, Pentanote and Color Traveler and, a Bungbox, for example?
Yeah, I think that's an interesting question. I know that I think Tono Limbs is manufactured by the same guys, or not manufactured, but it's the brainchild of same folks that are behind Colorverse, right? But as far as I'm aware, I think Three Oysters is different. And I don't know about Wearingle, but I haven't seen or haven't heard that it is related to the others. I'm sure they all know each other. I'm sure they all talk to each other and get hints from each other. But I think when I made that point, the thing is that even Colorverse is quite new, right? I'm just wondering, for the amount of consumption of ink that we have here, I don't really see a lot of new competition that's popping up, whereas it seems that folks are really, I guess, ready to consume inks from other countries, new brands, new things, shimmer and all that stuff. I don't see the Japanese manufacturers, capitalizing on shimmer, for example.
Yeah, shimmer, that's definitely true. But if you count all the retailers' own brands,
that's a lot.
Then you have
that
like Shimmer Boons, like thick catalogs full of them. There are just so many of them, and then you have a few small companies that aren't really retailers. Like I think like Shokido, and that's whatever the company that sells this new Saitama inks. So you have these small sellers that aren't really retailers, and they have their own brand, but they don't actually manufacture their own inks. And they also have like Eric plus Smart. I'm not sure how to categorize them, but it's a very small scale operation.
Yeah.
But they have their own iron gold inks.
So then I'm curious that basically all of these retailers are selling Sailor, right?
Well, the three manufacturers that make inks for others are Sailor and Teranishi and Turner.
What ink does Teranishi make for others?
The Tacha inks.
Oh, okay, yeah. Of course.
But Color Traveler, they are their own, right?
That's also made by Sailor, I'm pretty sure.
You think it's Sailor? Okay.
Right. I think it's pretty much still dominated by like very large players, and then as you said, we have really, really niche people like Gary or Eric plus Smart. I'm wondering, like, there's clearly an appetite for shimmering, right? Like clearly there's an appetite for shimmering. The only people in Japan, like Japanese manufacturers who are doing something remotely similar, I think, is Kuretake with their shimmer powder.
But you also have Tag, right? Tag is one of the most experimental ink manufacturers out there, right? They have shimmer.
Yeah.
They have this. I mean, Alice has covered Tag's inks well. There's all kinds of weird tag inks. They even have these natural dyes, for example, that they are doing things that no one else is doing.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. That's fair. We'll take it.
I'll take it. Okay.
Yeah, we forgot about Tag.
I think the Tag is they do a lot of interesting stuff with, I think, Ginza, Tsutaya.
Yeah.
But I don't really see them producing exclusive inks for like loads of other brands, right? In fact,
They did
almost...
for Star Stationery Stations.
Yeah.
How many Star? I don't
know. They do make it for Stas, and they do make it for Shosaikan. But they're almost like anti-Tono Limbs.
Yeah, they produce maybe one color every year or 2 years. And usually they introduce it at a fair, like last which one was it? Before Kamihaku, the one before, they introduced this gray. I got it, but I haven't swatched it yet.
The gray shimmer one.
Yes.
Yeah. But speaking of fairs, you two both went to Kamihaku. What was it? 3 weekends ago? I don't remember. Whereas I kind of skipped out on that one. But how was the event?
So this is
crazy.
It's actually huge. So the venue is the same is where Tokyo International Pen Show was held in the past, and this I'm not sure what to call it, like conference center in Asakusa. Right? I think it's called like Tokyo Metro Trade and Commerce,
Industry.
something. Exactly, yeah.
Industry and something, yeah. It's like a 12-floor building or more, even more.
And I think...
And it was on 3 floors.
Yeah, so by comparison, Tokyo Pen Show, TIPS was held on one of those floors. And so this was 3 floors. So it's really big. I read somewhere that they had in the past 10,000 attendees. So this is possibly the second biggest one after Bungo Joshi's. It's a really big one. It was a bit different this time because one floor was dedicated to like textiles and stuff.
Yes,
and then the
5th floor.
Yeah, and then 2 floors were sort of paper, a little bit of ink, but mostly paper. And it was fun to see Khuê at the event. She went crazy. So tell us what you did.
So Kamihaku was the first stationery event I did in 2018 when I just landed in Japan, and so it's kind of a nostalgia. It's one of my favorite events because it's a lot of stationery like masking tape, rubber stamp, what else? All the stickers and stuff like that, papers, of course. And so it's a very big event. And as they canceled the 2020 edition because of COVID, they did only part online or smaller one. They decide this year to sell back all the limited edition masking tape. They collaborate with Japanese artists from 2018 to last year, like 2020. They didn't release a new one for this year. And they were reselling like 7 rolls, different rolls. Some were designed by Eri Masco. She's an artist from Yanaka, I guess, because you see a lot of her art around Yanaka area. Then there was some from Eric Small Things, masking tape. And yeah, those tape are really in the stationery gang. Everyone is looking for because you can find them only on Kamihaku. So I got lots of demands from my pen pals and international friends. But these tape were reserved one set maximum per person. So 2 sets, sorry. So 14 rolls per person max. So Alicia and I and Jacob were the first group because you have to buy your tickets in advance by group. So we were the 10 a.m. Group, and then 11 a.m. you have more people, 12 you have more. And what is nice, I thought, is that they reduce the price of the tickets the more you get it later. And I think it's really smart because some event it costs you the same if you arrive at one, like at the first group at 10 a.m. or at 4 p.m. just before it closes, which is a little bit unfair because usually the last group won't have as much choice anymore. So I think this is a very good point from Kamihaku to make this reducing price. So we got in the first group and it was not that crowded at the beginning because only the people who get the ticket from 10 to 11. But from 11 a.m. it gets crazy. Like the amount of double, of course, of people double. And then from 12 we try to leave because you cannot reach most of the table anymore. But I heard from some friends who know organizer of Kamihaku that they expect much more people and they pre-sell the tickets only half of what they expected. So it was not as good as the last event before COVID, which is a bit sad. Yeah. So yeah, I went nuts. I got, 2 bags of masking tapes and I don't remember how many papers, different kind of paper. Graphilo was there, of course. And then what else? Yeah, rubber stamp because there were Eric Small Thing, Hute, who is difficult to find. They have the very nice floral type of rubber stamp. Yeah, it was. And one bad thing is like most of the booths don't take credit cards because I heard that Tegamisha, who is one of the it was a co-event by like Kamihaku, Tegamisha, asked the sailor to pay like their fees is a percentage of their sales in the next days following the end of the fair, which means that if you take credit cards, you don't get the money immediately in your account, so you have to pay by your pocket. And some small sailor, they don't have enough savings to give back the money to Kamihaku. So it's one of the reasons they said many people were not really happy to take credit card or prefer don't bring the credit card machine and stuff like that. So ask for cash only, which was good for save us. I think Alicia and I were quite happy at one moment to say, okay, we don't have money anymore. Just leave.
Yeah, I fully agree. I mean, that's what saved me too. I mean, some of these events are really dangerous because it's so frictionless. I mean, the worst one in this sense is Inkunuma, right? You just get a big, you just get a bag or whatever, and you collect from all the tables what you want, and you just pay in the end. Right.
Yeah. And that then makes you see the amount and you say, is it me?
Exactly. And it's so frictionless. It's so dangerous. You end up buying way more than you intended to. Right.
And you got a heart attack when you see the total amount. Like, didn't you total the customer before me? Am I paying for two people or is it really my amount?
Exactly. So this Kamihaku just added just enough friction that you didn't just go to every single table and buy something, which was probably good for the wallet. But it was still a lot. I agree. It was a lot to see. So yeah, Kobe here was there, had the whole Graphilo lineup. Yamamoto paper was there, and they had 3 new kinds of paper. There was one called Kamifubuki, which is supposed to be fountain pen friendly washi paper. I bought that. I'm not sure I agree how that is that fountain pen friendly. I may do some more tests and do a post about it later, but it feels kind of nice to write on. It looks nice. And then there was another new one called Light Force, which is very similar to Cosmo Air Light, I would say. It seems quite nice. And one called Minuet Light Cream, which is kind of like that new chiffon cream, but a bit more fountain pen friendly. So I bought those, and again, I need to do more tests, but they all seem quite nice. Tag had a really nice table. So Tag, you can buy this at Ginza 6, for example. You can buy these sets of 5 small Tag mini bottles, right? Mm-hmm. While here, all of those mini bottles, you could just pick and choose which mini bottles you wanted. That was so nice.
Yeah, I saw that table, but I try to avoid them because they take credit card.
Yes, they did, and they got me too. I had to buy something there. I didn't buy the mini bottles, but they had one. You had this lineup of inks. So we just talked about how Tag, they do experimental stuff. They have this line called Fumisome, which has like natural dyes.
The lotus paper box, as I call it.
Ah, yes,
when
exactly.
you open it, it's like a lotus flower.
Exactly, and all of those inks are made with natural dyes. So they had a new one. Now the name escapes me. I think it's made from like sugi tree bark or something like that. It's really weird. But the ink is quite light, but it performed relatively well, so I had to get that. So those were probably my biggest purchases, like the Tag table and the Yamamoto paper table. But I think I didn't buy nearly as much as you did, Khuê. We got both Alessa and I, we went there for like 20-30 minutes, and then we had enough, so we went get a coffee. And I understood that you were there for well over an hour, right?
Almost 2 hours, I think, because when I text Alicia for lunch and we were joining CY and Akane, it was almost 12, I guess. Yeah, so almost 2 hours. But when I did the second floor, I feel like I reached this, too much. When your body just say, okay, enough, just get out of here. Yeah, so the second floor, I was concentrating on some booth, and then I just tried to get to the exit door because it was, I couldn't take it anymore. And the crowd was growing and growing, and I think it make me a bit like a kind of anxious.
And you took a lot of photos and videos, so you have I think you saved them as story highlights. We could put a link to that.
Yeah, I had a highlight of the booth, but some of the brand they bring of cool limited edition, and I think people were crazy and line for some booth, and the line was like, I don't know, hundreds of people to choose like stickers or stuff like that, and I was like, how can you manage this kind of activities when you know that, when you have to choose something that small as a flex sticker, you will take your time and everything, and so some booths were crazy crowded, and we're still in COVID time, I would say. So it was a bit overwhelmed at the end.
Yeah,
but really fun. I won't do it twice in the same month.
Yeah,
or in a year.
In that sense, it reminds me a bit of these ink events like the Tone and Limbs and Inkunuma, in that like social distancing goes out the window once there's a limited edition, something to fight over. Yeah.
No, but it was a lot of fun.
Right. So one type of paper that was not available at the event, but which was released yesterday, was the eagerly awaited Sanzen Tomoe River. So we have talked about this at length, and I did a review back in November, I think, and people have been asking me, probably have been asking everyone here, when is the paper released? How can we find more information? And yesterday, finally, Yamamoto Paper, which is a wholesaler, started selling A4 loose sheets of the 52 GSM version of Sanzen Tomoe River. And I ordered first thing in the morning a pack, and I hope I will receive it today, otherwise tomorrow. And I'm keen to compare it to the early samples I got and see if there's any difference. As far as I know, there are no notebooks available yet. I'm sure we'll be seeing notebook-related announcements soon, but at least the paper is now available for people to buy. Not just in Japan, you can buy it overseas, because Yamamoto Paper has an Etsy store and they ship overseas. Did anyone else?
We should boycott Etsy until the 18th of April, just to remind everyone who is listening. Because they increase... Yeah, Etsy increased their the seller fees. I think it reached 30% now, and a lot of small shop on Etsy complain because they don't earn any money when you sell, stickers and masking tape or something small, because the Etsy fees are so high. So there is kind of online boycott of Etsy from 11 to 18 of April.
And it's actually not just the fees, but they also run ads. Yeah. And if your product is selected for an ad, you have to pay the ad fee, but you can't opt out of the ad. So if somebody sells something for like $5, I saw one of the calculations, right? They only make like 19 cents, and then plus like different productions and time like that, they actually lose money if you buy on Etsy.
It's crazy.
So yeah, we'll see, but does Yamamoto sell direct?
Only in Japan. Their website is only in Japan, and international is Etsy for now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
maybe they will change. Maybe it will.
Then they are asking for trouble in that case, right? But if they make a direct sales, if it's possible to do direct sales or White Rabbit, that would be that would actually help them a lot. And one thing that I want to say about all these paper companies is that they're few and far and few between. What's the saying? I don't know. Whatever it is. But the point is, there aren't that many. So I do think it would be good to buy direct from them, just to make sure that they survive.
So one more thing I wanted to say about this Sanzen Tomoe River is that I just noticed that Sanzen finally, after like 5 months, updated their website with information about this paper, and there are two things that I found interesting. First of all, they seem to have decided on a formal name of this paper, and it's called Tomoe River S. That's the new name, Tomoe River S. And another thing is, I recall like a few months ago, I was trying to find any information about whether they were planning to do anything other than a 52 GSM. And I remember hearing, I can't remember if it was from them directly or from someone else, but they said that they have only, at the time, they had only committed to 52 GSM, and they weren't sure it was worth producing any other. Now it turns out, according to the website, they're mentioning 52, 64, which is this Raymay Da Vinci exclusive, and also 68, which I think is going to be a good news for a lot of people. So they're officially saying that Tomoe River S, the new paper, is going to be available in 68 GSM as well.
Oh, great.
That is very good news. But we haven't tried the 68, right? So we actually don't know the paper quality of the other weights, but that is still very good news.
Yeah, and still about the Tomoe River paper hunt. I had this strange but funny discover, and I already share it with Jacob in message. Like, you remember, I was looking for years for A6 plain Tomoe River notebook, because I like to reuse my Hobonichi cover, like the one I really like, and I have more than one, of course. So I usually have one Hobonichi planner for the year, and then the other covers are staying in dust bag in my drawers, because it's very difficult to find A6 plain Tomoe River. And I knew in the fountain pen community, a lot of people were asking Hobonichi to release a plain notebook, but usually there is grid or there is dots. And from time to time, I'm going on Google and just enter Tomoe River A6 notebook and see if something happened. And strangely, I got there was a result, and it was the Tomoe River Sakai front page who appear, and I was like, this is strange, because they don't do a A6 plain. They do this really thin grid or dots in A6, but not plain. But I click on the image, so it was on the Amazon page, and I zoom on it, and the logo said it's Tomoe River Notebook, the greatest paper for fountain pen, A6, 160 page, color is cream and plain. And I was like, yeah, there must be. Is it like kind of a mistake, or is it like, I don't know, old stock and something? And there's this little logo on the left with the double P and name paper, 68 gram a square meter. So I text Jacob and said, have you talked about this notebook, and have you heard about this notebook? Because I order one in case, just to see what it is. And Jacob, you can confirm what you answer me by text.
Yes, so
Please.
So I remember Sakai told me back at one of the paper events last year that they have a batch of 68 GSM cream colored paper that they can still sell. So this is that batch of cream colored paper, and if you remember, when they introduced that Iruful paper brand, they also introduced this sub brand called Paper, and so both the Tomoe River paper and the Iruful paper are now under this Paper umbrella. So that's why you have this Paper branding on this new batch of notebooks.
And it's the old, you confirmed that was the old
paper, yeah.
Machinery, 7. Yeah, so it's for the one who were looking, just check your Amazon or Amazon Japan, because they are still on stock. I didn't buy all of them. I just buy one. So just go there if you want the A6 plain 68 gram square meter.
Yeah, I feel like you shouldn't have told me if you want the listeners to be able to buy these.
But you don't like cream. You like the white one, CY, right?
Yeah, I like the white one. I also have 10 of them.
Okay. In A5.
In A5, yeah.
Yeah, I remember CY back, I think it was shortly after Sakai Technical Paper announced that they were discontinuing their original lineup. And I think you went on Kingdom Note and bought their entire stock.
I remember that episode. It's like, Kingdom Note is sold out. I took them all.
So you probably have the biggest stash of Tomoe River reserves.
Yeah. I am still trying to avoid using them.
You keep them for your memoirs when you want to write about your life.
Yeah.
So what do you use now then?
I mean, I'm still using my Tomoe River, but I just don't burn through them as fast as I buy them.
You use loose sheet in your plotter too, right? You buy the pad.
Yeah, but I don't use the plotter that much. I only use the plotter when I go out. I don't use the plotter at home because at home I have the notepads.
Yeah.
But I use the 68 for work and for testing pens and stuff like that. But I would say I use one maybe. I'm fairly frugal with them, so I use one every 5-6 months.
Wow, it's quite a lot. I haven't finished. Well, I have many notebook side by side depending what I'm doing. So I haven't finished my A5 swatching one that I started maybe 3 years ago.
Yeah, it's I think it's I mean I use it every day, right? And then I use these crazy nibs, and then I have ink all over the place. But yeah, I would say each one lasts me about 5 months.
Wow. Okay.
But is that because you're using more other kinds of paper, or because you're I don't know, using up
you're
every
on diet
bit? No. I'm not using much of other kinds of paper. I mean, I have other kinds of paper, but I don't necessarily use them.
Okay.
Yeah. Speaking of things that we don't use, Traveler's Notebooks. Traveler's Company has 4 new sets that are travel inspired, and I know that this has whipped up a lot of people into a frenzy, including you, Khuê.
Yep. So we were with my friends from the girls from in Tokyo. We have a small food travelers group. We decide to during this year 2022, as we cannot travel as freely as before outside Japan, of course, but even inside Japan with all this state of emergency and stuff like that, we decide to meet once a month and to try a restaurant, or even during the state of emergency, do it on Zoom and sending each other food or chocolate, to travel virtually together. And we met. It was yesterday to have some Taiwan food, and then Taiwanese food, and then to stop by Traveler Factory Nakameguro. And on the day before, when they released on the 14th, I stopped by Tokyo Station in the afternoon and got for some friend abroad this set of new cover with some has rubber stamps, some have a new like a pencil or charm and sticker. So they are really strong in their marketing. So they did this small box on the with accessories, like you said, linked to traveling themes. One is hotel, another one is airplane, one is train, and the last one is records. And they are beautiful in the design, and every Traveler's Notebook fan are completely crazy about. And the thing is what they release in Japan, and for the first time, not only for Japan, but international customers too. And not only the Traveler's Notebook US website, but all their partner shop and all their reseller shop international. There is a but, because the communication wasn't really clear on their Instagram page. On the website, a bit more developed, but not in the Instagram. So people really don't really know who was reselling it. So some of the big stationery in the US advertised about it some days ago. So people knew that, this shop has it, or this doesn't receive it yet, or stuff like that. But the problem is the stock for international shop were really low. Like I heard or I saw on Instagram, some shop in Asia got only 8 sets. So 2 of each. and some partner shop got, I think, 18 of them. Like, yeah, the stock were really low. So most traveler company US got a lot. I think there's still some available now. And traveler company Japan sell on many phase on their website. So if you try to reach at the opening, which I try at 11 a.m. on the 14th, if you were not in the first one, you couldn't enter the page anymore. It was blocked, like it was too crowded, which was my case. So I didn't order online. And I was like, if I can make it, I go this afternoon to Traveler's Factory. And then I tried maybe 1 or 2 hours later, and they were still on stock. So I guess like to avoid this, they did it in many phases, too much congestion, I guess. And they were sold out in the evening on the website, Japanese website. But then I don't know if you follow, you got some pop-up. I follow Pentonote, for example, on Instagram, and I saw a notification, and I saw the picture of Traveler Notebook release, and I was like, what? This is strange. Why is Pentonote doing advertisement for Traveler Notebooks? But I didn't know that Pentonote is a partner shop. Like they are selling, not a partner shop, but they are selling Traveler's company's product. So all the shop, even in Japan, got some amount of the set, but none of them made any ads in advance, like the previous days. Some even advertise late in the evening, or I saw Nagasawa too, got them. And this morning I saw another one who just said, Hachimonjiya, who just said, we just got we have some stock of Traveler Notebook. So I think the general communication was a bit strange, and I saw a lot of people complain on the Traveler's Company page, like, why don't you make a list of all the shop? Why don't you put the hours for the US clearly? Because some people wait at midnight on the 14th, saying that it will be already released in Japan, so stuff like that. So, yeah, I guess everyone will have what they wanted to. And I read on Traveler's Company that they will release a second batch around June, July. So it's a limited edition, but quite broad limited edition. So for the people who didn't get it now, just be a bit patient. I think there will be another release. April confirmed it too. I saw on some posts she answered some of the angry comments for her.
But so if you go to Traveler's Factory in Tokyo or Nakameguro today, is it all gone?
They were still available yesterday afternoon, so I guess there are still some available today. I don't know how much, like how many sets, but they were still around on the table, around 7-8 sets of each.
Well, if Travelers wasn't such a established brand even overseas, this would not surprise me at all.
Yeah.
This is so typical of a Japanese manufacturer to just be rubbish at basically advertising their products, and they know they have good products. Actually, I saw their advertising assets, right? The assets are good, but the rollout, and come on, they knew this would be popular. This is not Traveler's first time.
What I don't really understand, because I'm quite a fan and I'm following them, both account, factory and company. So even for someone who is in the really inside, in Japan and following, I didn't know that Nagasawa, Hachimonjiya, Pentonote, all the stationery shop in Japan will get them. I don't read Japanese, but all this shop didn't post anything until yesterday evening. So on Friday evening, sorry. Or which day are we? Yeah, yesterday evening. on or Thursday. I don't remember anymore. But yeah, so none of these shop posts in advance, and I was like, is there maybe kind of how to say maybe traveler? I don't know. It's my supposition. Maybe travelers company want to prioritize their sales first. I don't know, maybe because then travelers company post, sorry, we are out of stock online, but there are still availabilities in both our physical shop, like in all our physical shop in Japan, and on our reseller in Japan. So they post it once the online shop was sold out. So I'm like, were there kind of behind the scene agreements between shops that you will advertise once we are out, I don't know. Because I was surprised when I saw Nagasawa Hachimonjiya posting. I was like, why are they advertising now it's sold out on Travelers Company website?
This reminds me of a lot of like stationary releases in Japan. I'm thinking about like the Kakimori nibs. I'm thinking about Pilot's Ink release. I'm thinking about that Kurutoga Dive. It's always very confusing where you can buy it.
And in the US, it was the opposite. All the shops that knew that we would have it make a lot of advertisement, videos, unboxing as soon as they receive it, so before the 14th. And some shop put, okay, they will be online at these hours. Be sure to put your clock alarm. In Europe, the same. I follow 2 or 3 European stationery, and they say, okay, we got only 8 sets. It's 1 set per person. You cannot combine them because we have only 8 in stock. Be sure to know which one you want, and good luck. And Travelers Company US will release them after all, like not all, but I think Travelers Company US, I don't know, is based in Los Angeles, right? California or something like that. So it was released after some of the East Coast already went sold out. But the time was not really clear. You didn't, like, if you don't go on the website, you were not really, you were in a bit in a blur. So I think it's why international people complain, because I guess some people stay awake until half of the night and just don't get when it will be online. Yeah, but it's, how to say, it's not... people are talking about, it's bad advertisement, but everyone is just like asking where do you get it, how can I get it, and they are selling. So
so maybe we are the idiots.
They don't need more advertisement. It's free advertisement,
Yeah. Anyways, so that was the Traveler's Notebook, which was super bizarre, but I can't say I'm like surprised. Another bizarre happening was this thing that you asked me about, Joyful 2.
Yeah. So this, I don't know if you remember, I think it was one of the first, not the first, it was during COVID already, one of the, 2020. It was the last time I saw Joyful 2 as an ink event. It was the event where there was this iPad, all the booths were empty and there were iPads where you can talk with the reseller who were staying in their shop in somewhere else in Japan. Do you remember this? Was it Inkunuma or was it?
Yeah, so it was Inknuma, and
it was very strange. We arrived in, there was line in every booth, but there was no one to answer you, like only the staff of the event. But if you want to buy something, you can talk, like glass pen. I remember there was Aon Eda-san, and you can say hello, and he can explain you, we have different nibs and stuff, but it was with an iPad in between of us. So at this event, Kamihaku or Inknuma, I don't remember. No, Inknuma, I guess. It's the last time I saw Joyful 2 brand physically, like their ink. And when we went to the Inknuma at Star Stationery Station, I don't.
Stationary Station.
Yeah, I expect to see them because I like their ink. It's a Sailor inks, but I really like 2 or 3 of their colors. Like the Nemophilia blue is one of my favorite, like the flower's name, blue, and it has this purple shades. And they have this Nico Ice Water, or very light blue, but you can still read it. It's quite readable. So I asked you in message, have anyone heard about Joyful too? Because I didn't see them recently at different event, and I don't find their account on Instagram anymore. Only the hashtag, like the people who swatch their inks, but nothing from 2000. Maybe 20 was the last post I saw of them, like last mention of them on Instagram. And see why you answer me that.
So I did some research after you texted me, and I was like, oh, that's strange. The Joyful 2, it's actually kind of like a chain up in the Nikko area, I think Tochigi area, and I was like, oh, that's really weird. You know, where did these guys go? So I did a little bit of research, and to almost backtrack just a little bit, you know, this Joyful 2 company, it's kind of a funky name, right? Like Joyful 2. Like what kind of a name is Joyful 2? So
who is Joyful 1? That's the question.
Yeah. So I did some research, and there is a kind of auto parts company that was almost made in collaboration with Honda, called Joyful Honda. And they have this huge, let's say, I don't know, I guess it's more in the countryside, but they have this huge shopping building, and on the first floor it's all auto parts. But then on the second floor, I guess somebody in the management, they liked stationery or something. So on the second floor was a stationery floor, and that's why it's called Joyful 2. Mm-hmm. And so I looked up on their Facebook and, you know, on the internet. I was like, oh, you know, where'd Joyful 2 go? And I found this announcement that they were going to be shut down for COVID, but this was back in 2022, like May or something. 2020? And I was like,
no,
2020 May or something. Mm-hmm. And I was like, wow, that's that's like almost 3 years ago. That's 3 years ago. And I was like, oh, that's weird. Let me see if I can find anything about the main Joyful. The main Joyful is still around. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, it was just this really confusing and, again, very typically, I guess, Japanese way of doing business. They never announced that Joyful, like the second floor, was going to, you know, close down or whatever. But by all accounts, right, Joyful 2, the physical store, right, the upstairs, doesn't exist as a stationary space anymore.
Mm-hmm. It's like, I think, what I can see, so you told me that they belong to Joyful Honda, which I didn't know, because I thought, as you said, that it was something about like do-it-yourself, cars repairs and stuff like that. So I went to Joyful Honda Instagram page, and I was like, oh, they have a website. So I click on it, and I was on the street. I was walking to an exhibition on the street with my baby stroller. And I was waiting on the crossings, pedestrian crossings in Ginza, so a big one. And I was just checking. I was like, okay, so let's see if they have a search bar. Okay, they have. Let's enter Sailor Inks or Inks, get, and what's appears like a lineup of 30 different colors of inks. And I was like, yeah, so they still exist, but only under Joyful Honda, so on the website, on their main website. And in this main website, they are selling everything for like decoration, old furniture, vintage furniture, doors. You can find vintage doors, the windows frame. Like I think they have kind of mix between a little bit like how do you call it, retro. Second-hand market, you know, all type of writers and stuff like that. They like this kind of thing, decoration, and do-it-yourself repairing stuff. And I was scrolling, so I was still waiting, and I was scrolling in the inks. The inks I'm looking for is still there, and it seems like they're not like discontinued or anything. And I scrolled, and then I saw a fountain pen, and I was like, strange, because one of my dream pen that I didn't bought at the time in 2018, it was the Joyful 2 Sailor Pro Gear I forgot now. This mint,
Watarase mint.
Yeah, Watarase, sorry.
Watarase minto.
Yeah, so this one. And I really like the color, and I didn't get it at that time, and I regret since, so I often check on Kingdom Notes if they appear. And I saw a box with a pen, and I click on it and say, oh, this is one of their limited edition, who was sold out like since 2018, and the name is the Taniga Wadake Gunman Great Mountain one, and the box has the ink bottle and this nice Pro Gear matte blue, so it's quite unusual to have a Pro Gear in blue, like dark blue, very dark blue matte. And what is very nice is the socks. The white socks has a very tiny shimmering glitters inside, and the finial has the snowflake, silver snowflake instead of the sailor logo. And I click on it, and I saw it's a new pen, and one of the shop. So Joyful Honda has many smaller shop in different part of Japan, and one of the shop has one in stock, and they put it online. But I guess nobody knows since 2018, or at least since they closed the Joyful 2, that they put most of their product on the main website, because the only way you can find their inks before was either at the physical store or at the ink fairs. So I click on it, and the light went green, so everyone was crossing, but I was still like trying to zoom on this pen to see if it's like a second hand, or I don't know, because the price was the 2018 price. So when Pro Gear were less than 50,000 yen, when Pro Gear has a normal price. And I was like, oh, is it a real one? And I just like, okay, just click and buy. And then I had to run because the light was turning red, and I had to stroll and run to cross the street. But it was kind of a very funny moment, like not really a real, like, parallel world moment. So I'm the owner of a very nice pen I really like. And so for the inks, they are available online. If anyone was looking for them, you know that they're around. You can use White Rabbit and stuff like that.
But so that's always the good thing about buying from these like rural stationery stores, because they don't move inventory very fast, and if the price changes, they keep the old MSRP. So if you find something at the old price, chances are you can buy that. So about Joyful 2, I remember like a few years ago, I think our little Tokyo group, we were planning to organize like a trip to Joyful to buy the inks, because I remember back then it wasn't possible to buy these inks online. You can only buy them at events or at these.
Yeah, exactly. Until we talk about with CY, I really didn't know they had the inks online, and I was sad to didn't see them at Star Stationery in Konuma, because it's one of the brand I really like. They have it's like 30 colors with the name from different inspiration of Tochigi, Gunma area, Nikko, and some of them are really nice. Like some are chroma shading before chroma shading was a thing, and the Roca red is a very dark, a little bit like Diamond, your favorite Diamond red, CY, the dragon, was it? This kind
Red
of
dragon.
Yeah, this kind of dark, very intense red, and it's one of my favorite one. And of course, I give samples to people and stuff. And I was starting to get, to the end. I have enough inks for life, of course, but some are still your favorite. And I was like, if I found them, I would like to get a second bottle, because they are really my favorites. And it was good to very funny coincidence, and by searching for the ink, I got a pen.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm looking at these inks right now, and there is one that's called Natto Brown.
Yeah. It's a very nice one. It has it reminds me of Roma Embra from Pele Penna a bit. It has this kind of shining. It's for the natto lovers out there.
Yeah, I'm almost tempted to buy this Natto Brown just because natto is so, I don't know, polarizing, let's say.
Well, I remember when we went to the very first Inkunuma, we bought way too much ink, of course. And I remember I think you and I went down to like a Tullit or something like that after the event, and we were open all the ink bottles and we were swatching and comparing. And I remember buying one of the Joyful inks. I think it was one called Purple Heart. And
they have that,
you just love that ink, and you were trying to convince me to swap inks with you.
I really like the label on Purple Heart. I think the other labels are a bit more plain, but that one was really nice, and they do have that on the website.
And I remember with Yasuko, we were so in love with Nemophila Blue and another one, Lapis Blue, and we were really surprised because on the bottle, the label, the blue seems different. But when you swatch them next to each other, they are identical. Like, really. So we were like, come on, we bought two different inks, and they look like really the same on Tomori River. And it's only if you dilute them in water, one is more purple and the other one is more like Bleu Roi, the French blue, the
royal blue.
Royal blue, exactly. So, pure, they look the same, but if you dilute a bit, then you see the chromo, the shade are a little bit different. But we were so surprised. I remember we test them together and we're like, come on, it's the same. Why did they put different labels?
Yeah. So I think this has been quite a long episode. Let's end it here for today. I know we've still got a few different topics, but we can maybe save that for next time. What do you guys think?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
And you know what? Let's I almost forgot. Well, I actually did forget. But since it was the beginning of the financial year, or end of the financial year as well, the investor reports for Sailor and Pilot have come out, and we could dedicate some time on the next episode to talk about that as well.
Could do that.
All right, then. With that, my name's CY. You can find me on my website at tokyostationpens.com, on Instagram and TikTok at tokyostationpens, and on Twitter at tokyostationmnh.
And my name is Jacob. I am Foodafan on Instagram and on Twitter. I have a blog at foodafan.com.
And my name is Khuê. You can find me on Instagram at Miracat. Thanks again for having me, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.